Today you will read the second chapter of your intermediate prose. The name of this chapter is A Fellow Traveler, written by A.G. Gardiner. A.G. Gardiner was very famous under the pen name of Alpha of the Plough. In the present chapter that has been taken from Leaves in the Wind, which is his very popular literary creation. This chapter gave him fame a lot, as it describes his journey in a slow local train and his meeting with a mosquito. Mosquito is his fellow traveler in this chapter. In the essay, he develops a feeling of affection for an insect, regarding him as his fellow traveler. Though the mosquito troubles him a lot, but he did not harm him at all, following the principle of live and let others live. So we will read the chapter text wise now. Now we will read the text of this lesson because it is very important for every student to read the lesson word by word, line by line, and paragraph by paragraph. Since paragraphs are asked in the examination to be explained with reference to the context, and short answer type questions are also asked to be answered. So without reading, it is not possible for our students to answer these questions. So I read the first paragraph of this lesson. As you see that at the left side of this video, there is the first page of this lesson, which has been pasted for the students. If you do not have the book till now, you can read this page with me and try to know the meaning, what has been said in the paragraph by the writer. I start reading, you will follow me. I do not know which of us got into the carriage first. Indeed, I did not know he was in the carriage at all for some time. It was the last train from London to a Midland town. A stopping train, an infinitely leisurely train, one of those trains which give you an understanding of eternity. It was tolerably full when it started, but as we stopped at the suburban stations, the travelers alighted in ones and twos, and by the time we had left the outer ring of London behind, I was alone, or rather, I thought I was alone. As in this paragraph, the writer says that he was going to travel from London to a Midland town by a last and local train. When he came to travel in this last and local train, he did not have any information about the presence of his fellow traveler, which is mosquito. It was a passenger train, a slow train, a train for when you are totally free, do not have any urgency, you can travel in this train. As the writer says, it is a stopping train and one of those trains in which you can feel the part of permanency of its traveling, because its traveling hour is uncertain when it would reach the destination. It is not clear. So the writer says this train gives you an understanding of eternity, that is permanency. It was very crowded, very full when it started, but as the writer along with other travelers stopped at the suburban stations, those travelers got down in the number of ones and twos, and by the time when the writer reached the outer ring of London, the time he found himself alone, or rather he was thinking so that he was alone, because he did not know the presence of the mosquito, which he called in this chapter his fellow traveler. Now the second paragraph, there is a pleasant sense of freedom about being alone in a carriage that is jolting noisily through the night. It is liberty and unrestraint in a very agreeable form. You could do anything you like. You can talk to yourself, as loud as you please, and no one will hear you. You have that argument with Jones and roll him triumphantly in the dust without fear of counterstroke. You can stand on your head and no one will see you. You can sing or dance a two-step or practice a golf stroke or play marbles on the floor without let or hindrance. You can open the window or shut it without provoking a protest. You can open both windows or shut both. Indeed, you can go on opening them or shutting them as a sort of festival of freedom. You can have any corner you choose and try all of them in turn. You can lie at full length on the cushions and enjoy the luxury of breaking the regulations and possibly the heart of DORA herself. Only DORA will not know that her heart is broken. You have escaped even DORA. In this chapter, the writer feels that being alone in a carriage, there is a very pleasant sense of freedom, because there is none but him in the carriage. So he developed a sense of freedom, of festival, and in this sense of freedom of festival, it is totally unrestrained. You could do anything which you like, any mistake which happens in your mind. Some of them has been exampled in this paragraph. The writer says, you can talk loudly with yourself and there is none to hear you. You can have argument with an imaginary person and defeat him, perish him gallantly. He will not harm you at all. He will not counter you at all. You can stand on your head, you can play marble, you can sing, you can dance a step dance, you can do anything what you like. You can open windows, one window, the both window, shut them, going opening them, going shutting them, as the sort of festival of freedom. You can have any corner, any seat, you can sit in that, you can lie in those, trying all of them, and there is none to protest you. You can also tear them, break the rule of the railway, and especially the rule that is thought to be the heart of the railway, DORA. You can also break it misuse it, and there is none to stop it. You can escape it very easily. So, in the festival of freedom, when there is none to disturb you, to stop you any way, you can do a lot. That sense came in the mind of the writer when he was alone in the train and going to his hometown. Now I will read the third paragraph of this chapter, that is in the left of me. I think you all should also read along with me. So let us read it. On this night, I did not do any of these things. They did not happen to occur to me. What I did was much more ordinary. When the last of my fellow passengers had gone, I put down my paper, stretched my arms and my legs, stood up and looked out of the window on the calm summer night through which I was journeying, noting the pale reminiscence of the day that still lingered in the northern sky, crossed the carriage and looked out of the other window, lit a cigarette, sat down and began to read again. It was then that I became aware of my fellow traveler. He came and sat on my nose. He was one of those bingy, nippy, intrepid insects that we call wiggly mosquitoes. I flicked him up my nose and he made a tour of the compartment, investigated its 3 dimensions, visited its window, cluttered round the light, decided that there was nothing so interesting as that large animal in the corner, came and had a look at my neck. As in this paragraph, that the writer says what he was thinking of being alone in the carriage for celebrating the occasion of festival of freedom. A number of thoughts, those came in his mind. He did not use them at all. They did not happen to come in reality. What the writer did when all his passengers got down, alighted from the train, he did very normally, put down his paper, stood up, stretched his arms and legs, looked at one side of the window, then crossed the carriage and looked out of the other side of the window. In the northern sky, it was still the pale memory of the day as we see in the morning or in the evening. And after that, the writer lit a cigarette, sat down again and began to read his paper. At that time, when the writer became aware of his fellow traveler, this traveler was not a man but an insect, a bingy insect, a nippy insect, intrepid insect, which we call mosquito. Mosquito came and sat on the nose of the writer. The writer made him fly, taking it very lightly. When he made him fly, the mosquito made a short tour of the compartment, checked its all dimensions, all the directions, fluttered around the lamps and light. His window he visited, and every corner he checked and found that there is nothing so interesting, as tasty as that the large animal that was the writer himself sitting in the corner. So he came back and looked again at his neck. Now I will read the 4th paragraph of this chapter. As I have told you, that is in the left of me. I think you should read the paragraph carefully and try to understand its meaning, so that you can be able to explain it and be able to answer the questions those are asked in the board examination. So I read it, you also read with me. I flicked him off again. He stepped away, took another jaunt round the compartment, returned and seated impudently on the back of my hand. It is enough, I said. Magnanimity has its limit. Twice you have been warned that I am someone in particular, that my august person resent the tickling impertinence of strangers. I assume the black cap, I condemn you to death. Justice demands it and the court awards it. The counts against you are many. You are a vagrant, you are a public nuisance, you are traveling without a ticket, you have no meat coupon. For these and many other misdemeanors, you are about to die. I struck a swift, lethal blow with my right hand. He dodged the attack with an insolent ease that humiliated me. My personal vanity aroused, I lunged at him with my hand, with my paper. I jumped on the seat and pursued him round the lamp. I adopted tactics of feline cunning, waiting till he had alighted, approaching with a horrible stealthiness, stricken with a sudden and terrible swiftness. So now we will know the meaning of this paragraph. When the mosquito came twice, the writer flicked him off easily and did not take it seriously at all. But when it came back thirdly and seated on the back of his hand, the writer became resented. The writer said that you have been already warned twice. Magnanimity has its limit. Considerateness is limited. He is not a common man. He is a particular, imparted man. His vanity has aroused with the disturbance of an unknown one. Now the writer has decided to teach him a lesson. So he says, I assume a black cap. This is a para line in which when a judge goes to punish someone wears a black cap, this means the writer is going to kill the mosquito. He says he sentences him to death because there are so many charges against him. The charges he framed against him, they are as that he was a vagrant, he was a useless person, he has no meat eating license, he has no ticket for traveling in a train, he is disturbing one to the public, and for these charges the mosquito will have to die. The writer tries to kill him with his right hand, with his paper, but it was of no use, so he became resented, his pride, his proud aroused, and try with more power to kill him. He adopted the tactics of cat, as the cat tries to kill a rat, adopting a tactics silently. So he adopted the feline tactics, but it was of no use. Adopting the feline tactics, he tries to go to the mosquito and attacked him lethally, but no use.